Hi everybody, how y'all doing? Welcome to the Ice House, where we try to keep things cool, calm, collected, and mostly chill, right? Now I know I've spent a bit of time talking about, influencers, like who influences who, who influences you. Talked about, who you listen to online, because, well, there's a lot of voices, and there's got to be a vetting process, right? Because just like who you listen to and who you let in, in real life, it's a little bit harder to tell what's going on with people online. And just because we can find people who say the same things as us and seem to believe the same things as us, well, as you know, online, it can get a little tricky. So, today I want to talk to you about the art of letting go, right? And just before we get into this, I don't mean the so dramatic of a interpretation of, Luke Skywalker at the end of Empire Strikes Back when he's hanging on for dear life emotionally and physically, and after finding out that he's some really significant newfound daddy issues, screaming no at the top of his lungs. I mean, I don't, and spoiler warning, if you never saw that movie, or didn't know that Darth Vader was Luke's father, or that, he jumps off, he falls and, literally lets go and, falls down to shoot and all that stuff, right? So, anyway, I'm not talking about something quite that dramatic in letting go, and just to address the elephant in the room, I am definitely skirting around the reference to, I am a ice and snow, native animal, so yeah, I'm trying to avoid that Frozen reference, because now it's stuck in all of our heads. You're welcome. Anyway, it's getting to the point, because I don't think I digressed just yet, but yeah, I think the art of letting go is important, because as one of my good friends has always talked about, and maybe you'll meet him one day, is that life is full of seasons, and there are definitely times when, people decide that something that is in their life for a season, they want it to be a permanent fixture. And sometimes it wasn't meant to be a permanent fixture. Maybe it was a good moment, a good season, a season of growth, but if you hold on to that too long because, all of the good feels in the moment, I think that's when people would say you start to plateau and you start to crave the emotional feels and the tinglies over what could potentially happen building on those blocks. And maybe those people stay in your life and you grow with them, but if you try to stunt that growth and just stay in that moment forever, it usually doesn't end that well, right? Let's be honest. Not to say that I really listen to YouTube, but I just keep thinking of that song, stuck in a moment that you can't get out of, right? Perpetually not realizing that you're holding on to something and you won't let yourself move on, right? So, in that case, there's sometimes that you need to figure out what you're holding on to and what you're letting keep you from taking a step forward. And more often than not, as I said before, letting go doesn't necessarily mean completely screaming, run away, and abandoning something entirely. Sometimes it's just allowing yourself to take a step forward and see what's next, right? That's pretty important. And also I want to make the caveat that, with the Luke Skywalker and the screaming no, 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 no. I'm starting to think that we might see a reprise of that from the actor with today's current political climate in the next few months. And I'm not even talking about after the election. I'm just talking about everything leading up to it. So there's your pop culture current reference. And now back to the intended program, right? So, as I was saying, letting go or walking away from something, it doesn't have to be a permanent decision. It doesn't have to be a life-defining moment necessarily. I mean, it just kind of depends on who else and what else is involved and how they react. But at the same time, I mean, you guys have heard me talk about me being a prodigal waddler, right? And thankfully, when I left the pack, I didn't end up like one of those waddlers that goes off towards the mountains and never returns. Because, well, then I wouldn't have a YouTube channel, and, well, might not have another few things like... Yeah, anyway. So, I've learned over the years that sometimes instead of putting a hard end, a period, or strong punctuation at the end of something, sometimes you put a comma, a colon, a pause, right? Because being a introspective ponderer that I am, there's sometimes that there's a problem or there's something bugging me that I can't quite figure out, but sometimes I just need to put it down for a minute. And depending on the situation or how pressing the matter is, it could be one of those situations where put it down for an hour, or, you know, like in Men in Black where they go eat pie and eat some cheese, and all of a sudden, aha! They let their mind wander enough that they could let their more of the back channels work while they gave their focus a break and figured out something that interconnecting dots, and were able to move on that information that they already had. They just had to work out. And sometimes that takes a little bit longer, right? Sometimes you put a pause on something because life determines that you need to focus on something else that's really important, So sometimes you just put things aside because they're not the priority, because, well, there's the idea that there's a hierarchy and structure of, they say Maslow's hierarchy of needs, but there's also the things you prioritize in your life, and you realize pretty quickly what matters to you, because how you react and what you respond to, and what you put before and in front of everything else, right? It's easy to say things and easy to have moral codes that you believe in and believe are good, and there's also the truth of how you walk, how you behave, and people can see that. So I'm not trying to get into talk of integrity right now, but you know what I'm talking about. When push comes to shove, or you flip a coin, usually you know what decision you want to make, and you're not just basing it on the flippancy, see what I did there, of the coin itself, right? It's just helping you decide what's important. So, yeah, I think there's too many times in life when we are in a situation that definitely feels uneasy, something that feels like there's something off and something needs to change, right? And it's very easy to overcorrect, oversteer, to react, and not just let go, but pull away, or run away like Luke. Because, they did work out some of their father-son. He did work out some of those daddy issues in the next movie. Again, it doesn't need to be a spoiler warning when the movie came out in the 70s. 80s. Yeah. I mean, it's like, it's old now, right? Okay. Yeah. But the idea that, and I don't know if I say this on this channel very much, and I probably said it on live streams too, but the false sense of urgency, right? Something needs to change, and something needs to change quickly, because it starts feeling overwhelming, and there's a exponential compression factor that you realize that you're not in the place that you want to be, and you're no longer comfortable, and that's an issue when you start reacting out of, like I said, the urgency to remove yourself from the current situation, as opposed to taking a moment to understand maybe why, or getting back to the place or trajectory that you want to be, instead of, you know, out of the frying pan into the fire, where you got rid of one problem but you created 15 others. Also, that is one of my favorite chapters of the Hobbit. Yeah, just another reference for you there. Yeah. And no, it's not just because I'm jealous of the eagles and the big birds that came down and saved the hobbits while the orcs were setting the trees on fire, right? It's a deeper meaning than that, but we can get into that another time. So, right. So what I'm saying to you right now is that sometimes learning how to let go of something, because not because you're abandoning it, not because you don't believe that it has value, or because you don't have merit, or that you don't want it in your life at all. Sometimes letting go of something is just allowing yourself to grow into the next step. And sometimes letting go, it means that you're letting go of the expectations you had, or, you know, holding on to a feeling when the feeling wasn't meant to last either, because it's the ebb and flow, the cyclical nature of life, the back and forth, that we can learn to appreciate the highs and the lows, right? So hopefully that's helpful, and hopefully in the current change of a season that we're getting into with some of you, we're all ready for the fall, even though some of us have had kids go back to school and are going back to school ourselves. So there's definitely a reason to be cognizant of the changing of seasons, and willing to let go of some of the awesome seasons of summer, and be ready and be open for the changing of the leaves, the colors, and who knows what else is in store. So if you guys have any comments or thoughts about that, put them down below. Do the like and subscribe thing if you want. And I know we did hit 250 subscribers on this channel, and I want to thank you a lot, especially if you're still here right now. And I'll probably have to do something to celebrate that, because I do appreciate you all for being here. But until next time, see you later. And don't be afraid to let go once in a while. Bye!